Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, e hiaki ana ti atakura, e hio, e tio, e huka, e hauhu, ti hei.
We have no apologies today, and so we are able to move directly into our public forum. So welcome to those of you who are speaking today for a public forum. The first name I have on my list is Paula Clark for the Sports Club. Welcome, Paula.
Hello. Paula Clark, and this is Kate Bennett.
Okay.
I'm from the Cromwell Sports Club, just giving you an update on our rebuild. We are just going at the stage getting ready for an updated pricing because our project was closed back in 2020. Everyone knows it's all gone up. With that, we need to push through to the next stage of plans, and I think the email, everyone had a look. David,
Who received it? David, I've had some stuff from David came through to me today. But didn't have any updated plans. It only had.
that's all right. You can have a look at it another time.
I only had the email thread of communication.
That's all right. So our timeline is looking at building in August next year. That's all I really got to say.
You've got 5 minutes, Paul.
I know. You don't need me to go on.
It was there. Yeah, cool. Sorry.
So yeah, no, David just wanted us to come and give him an update on where we're at.
Yeah.
Any building questions? Craig is here to answer any.
Emails,
We can come back.
questions, comments, thinking.
I need to get your head around the plan first. So is it an adaptation of the existing footprint or an extension of it or knockdown and rebuild? So when we
Just what we had applied for right back in 2022.
Yeah.
Just that.
changing rooms off the end, is it?
Sorry?
Is it changing rooms off the end of the building?
Yeah, we're still heading with those.
Right.
No. No questions?
Any questions? Got the plans in front of you?
We can get back to you when we've got pricing, because that's when we can get back to our funders.
Yeah.
Pricing.
And I suppose since, you know, when you've talked about this being a 6-year project so far, that our town has continued to grow and to change quite rapidly. And of course, we went through that process last year when, as a aside to what was being talked about for the racecourse reserve, there was actually quite a lot of talk about how we could maximise the use of the building and maintain the football, you know, the rugby ground there, but what else could be there? So I know there's been a lot of time, energy and thought go into this, and I suppose that we don't want to put the kibosh on any of the great work that you're doing,
No.
but we're just also aware that there might be other things happening in the background that might alter.
So that's
Or
what, when I contacted David, he
increase
said
it,
that we were
or-
spending an extra 15,000 to get these plans to the next stage.
Yeah,
We didn't want to be spending that money if we were going to have.
and we don't know what that answer
And we
is
pushed
at
on,
this point.
and we spent the money, so we get
Okay.
the plans to the next stage, to get it priced.
Okay, so you've done that already.
And we're in a better stage where we started this, we had $20,000 in the bank. Now we have 500,000, so we've worked hard to get that money up. So when we go to funders, we're looking better than what we did when we first started. That's why we worked really hard.
Anyone else?
Sorry, how many clubs are fully owned with the sports club now?
At the moment, 8.
Okay. So what we've been sent is the next phase of the plan, so that's what the money's
Yes, we've
been
been
spent on as well as coming through the end of those.
proper pricing.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have them at the right stage before.
Got it? Everyone got it? Sorry, it's just everybody opening up the
Yeah.
Yeah.
getting your lattes delivered.
Phoenix done a very good job on that. Yeah, like attempt.
What was your timeline, Paula, sorry,
We're
Would you-
looking at about August next year
to start the,
to start.
essentially it's pretty much a mostly demo and rebuild?
Yeah.
Yeah, so August, that puts you at the end of the rugby
Either
season.
represents something next year, yeah.
Let's move on.
We don't want to rush it and get it done this year.
Yeah, so you'd be waiting until the end of the rugby season.
Yeah. So
Next
probably
year.
next year.
Okay.
So how
All
much bigger is the footprint? This, is it more towards hockey turf or is it?
No, I think it actually went towards the road. Don't have that back on me, sorry.
There's a wee bit towards the hockey turf.
Yeah.
But a lot still within the footprint that we're around to, and a wee bit towards the main sports grounds looking west.
So that was the initial request, wasn't it, that came
Yeah.
to the board, was about increasing the footprint of the building? Yeah. All right, thank you for your update, really appreciate it. And now that we've all found our piece of our picture to look at, that's, yeah,
I should have sent it earlier, maybe.
you're all good.
Fancy going.
Thank you. And the next person I have on my list is Paula Jackson and Doreen Evans from the Cromwell Rotary Club and Lions about the Alpha Street Splash Pad project. Welcome.
Yeah, so. Doreen Evans. Not Paula. No. Please, we splash pads come up on the screen. Excellent.
We've got them on our screen, haven't we?
I have you.
Yeah, that's it.
How primitive, I have to turn around.
These are just some images of what a splash pad is, because when I talk to people and I say we're bringing a water playground, they think about out in the lake, like the Kiwi Water Park. So we thought we'd send some images. So as you can see, it looks very exciting. And we think, Cromwell Rotary, that Cromwell's known for its fruit, water and wine, and of course Highlands. And Rotary and Lions want to support these things about our region and bring a water playground, known as the Splash Pad, to Cromwell. Information that we've gathered shows that the Kiwi Water Park has brought a positive impact to our community. It operates around 3 months in the summer, and over the 4 years it's been operating, they estimate there's been 115 people participate in the water park itself and a further 140,000 spectators. So we want to blow that out of the water by making Cromwell or our region a destination to come to play in something that's for free. And so obviously Highlands and the Kiwi Water Park you pay for, but we need some facilities here that families can come to Cromwell or our region and think, yeah, there's things for us to do with our families that aren't going to cost a lot of money. And we think a splash pad is one of those. You might be able to see in some of the information that we've sent you, but unless the splash pad will be available for all ages and abilities. So those with disabilities will easily be able to use the splash pad. In the report that you've received and no doubt read, there's a couple of proposals there and it outlines the risks. So of course, Cromwell Rotary and Lions, we want to do this as a project that we will bring and pay all the costs and construct it and put it in place and then test it in council. And that means that you'll take over operating and the maintenance costs, etc. So when the information we provided to Simon and his team in the Parks Department, and he's looked further into the costs of the operating of the splash pad for 6 months a year. So we had a look at some of those costs and
Just a question that it would only run 6 months.
you can run it as long as you like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It would be very chilly here in the winter to run,
Oh,
and the costings have been based on 6 months operation. Yeah,
The water is heated though.
it's heated.
yeah,
Is that?
and the report.
Why?
Yeah, that's how they decide.
Well, our kids got hard here. Also, just.
Summer, yeah, it's visited, it comes out from Auckland. So one of the things we just, I suppose critiquing is that it talks about water testing twice a day, and the system that we bring in has, remote testing, which means that you, can just water test twice a day if you treat it as though it's a swimming pool, which I think is, as a commercial water, area, we've conservatively treated it as swimming pool. As you can see, it's not a swimming pool. So we've talked to other councils that have splash pads, and we found that they don't test it twice a day. And we believe that you might find that as you use the facility and do the testing, you'll realise, or hopefully realise that, hey, twice a day is too much, and you can reduce that down in terms of your safety plan. So that's one of the options to save some of the costs. Electricity, we saw the electricity cost in there, and then we were thinking, hey, part of our fundraising effort, we might see if we can get some solar, and that will take the electricity cost out of it, or
Just
assist with that.
one thing on that, it was in the report, is 39 cents cheaper.
Oh.
So it actually makes solar less competitive because.
Still a good news story then.
Yeah. Because I suppose what
I
the,
think it's made 16 cents.
oh, there you go, your costings are already cheaper, that's good news. And then, the other thing we thought we might chat about is the depreciation side of it. And obviously that's just a paper entry, but I suppose it looks at how you want to save some money so that you can replace it in the future. Cromwell is growing, as Anna indicated previously, and in 20 years, what will Cromwell look like? And will the splash pad on the reserve that we put it on actually be the best use for that reserve at the time? So Cromwell's constantly redeveloping things, and, you know, I just think about Big Fruit. It wasn't long that it was developed into what it is now, and we're talking about redeveloping some of it again. So I suppose from my point of view, I'm thinking, hey, yep, there's a depreciation in there. Let's not worry about those costs too much. Once it comes to the end of its useful life, I'm sure Rotary Lions will be keen to do another project. But yeah, obviously, I probably won't be around then. But we're always, you know, Rotary Lions are always looking at projects to do. You know, they brought the Big Fruit here, they put a clock here, they've done lots of other projects. So I personally think that, hey, the depreciation side of it, I wouldn't stick to.
Doreen, we've done our 5 minutes, so if you
Oh,
want to
sorry.
get to your
Yep.
main points, that would be great.
So yeah, we just wanted to chat about one of our Rotary members, Sue, Councillor Geraldton, Western Australia. And she was going to be here today to chat, because they've got a splash pad there. And she said she sent us a wee blurb because she's sick. So she said it has a very positive impact that the splash pad has on the local people, plus tourists in the region. And the park is always in use, and it's very busy over the weekends and holiday periods. It's a go-to destination for young mums and small children during the week, and then a whole family experience on weekends when bigger kids can also use the park or go to the beach. And so these is beside the beach, as would be going to the lake. The family arriving with takeaway coffees and snacks and settle in for quite a while, and then they go and visit the town and have lunch and stuff like that. So Geraldton's a town of 40,000 people. So I suppose from Rotary Lions' point of view, in summary, we want to construct the best splash pad there is in New Zealand and bring it to our region, so it's a destination. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Stay there because there might be questions. Love the look of it, and I suppose for us, it's our responsibility not to put things into the community that are going to cost the ratepayers money. So although we recognise that the construction and the costs of putting it in place would be completely covered by the project that you're planning, those ongoing costs, we need to really understand exactly what they are so that we know what sort of risk we're putting on ratepayers, and whether or not from this table that still makes sense when we send it down to the decision-making table down the road in Alexandra. So I suppose, yeah, other people, what are you? Yeah.
Do you have, I know I could drive you to the one in Matara, but where else in the country are these things?
There's one in Auckland, if you Google it.
Yeah.
There's one in Christchurch, and they put a new one in the new sports complex there with their 8 swimming pools. They've got a splash pad inside as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all over the world. If you Google splash pads, you see lots of Instagram
It would
things
be
coming up.
very useful to figure out from those other councils around the world what the operation costs. The other thing that would be very useful would be, we would have to weigh it up with an increase in potential racial activity, which we always get flack for, rates increasing. Would be very interesting and would make it way more viable if we could get a local company to help potentially support it. Would be my suggestion, just to make sure that we relieve some of those potential rate of activity, some of that rate of activity moving forward.
The costing breakdown from the report.
Yeah.
The 50,000.
Is that come from other, because I mean, the whole thing here is that's based on,
That's come from your parks department.
yeah, but then that's based on 2 years, so twice daily chlorine testing,
Yeah.
heating of the water and a bunch of other things.
Shower, yeah.
Do we have any understanding from these other councils that run these around the world what the cost actually is?
No.
Is that something we can
Our friends
do,
have
like
already been
like a proper feasibility study?
Yeah, I've been across the ditch, have a few of these, so should we chill?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they seem pretty reasonable costs that are in there. Like as in, I wouldn't imagine they'll be too different if we asked other councils.
I'll look at that, Lauren.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we will get further information, and obviously we've read the report, but we'll be able to drill down into some of those further questions just with our fiscal responsible hats on.
But that being said, I'm only saying that because that's for the pressure that we get. Well done, ladies, on bringing this.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's also very commendable.
Yeah.
It's a good
Sarah?
opportunity for our region.
Obviously, there's a lot of chat at the moment about where Cromwell goes from here. We're in that growth period and we're trying to work out what goes where. And you alluded to that, saying just because it goes there now doesn't mean it's going to be the right place soon. It's difficult for us at this stage because there's a lot of things that we think should or may or will happen in the not too distant future with the growth. And there's lots of things that are changing around the town that we don't know where things are necessarily best placed right now. If we were to say, but I think it's great, but if we would say yes, but not right now, is that an option? That it's something we're keen on, but I don't want to see something like this go in and then 6 or 12 months time we turn around and go, oh, actually we're looking at redeveloping this area and it's probably not the best place for it, and we've kind of wasted that investment. Is it a now or we don't get it, or is it
Well, we haven't raised any of the money yet.
right?
So we've got, yeah, we've got,
All right.
so once we get a year, we want.
Yeah.
We're going to go out to
Down,
community and raise the funds, and
Oh,
until we raise the funds, we won't be constructing it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that makes.
So let's say it's a 2-year project.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great for us because it's
So we've
like I
got
said,
plenty
don't
of
rush it
time
in.
to look at feasibility, to look at ongoing costings.
So you're open to the location?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we don't quite know what we're doing yet. So if we don't tell you where it's going, then we want it to be, like, it'd be great.
Yeah. I suppose the answer to that too is also, Cromwell's going to be constantly changing because it's constantly growing.
It is.
And yeah, you've got to play folio. There are some reserves here, and yeah, which would be the best one.
Yeah, and there are a few options. Yeah.
Raising, thinking about raising money, I think maybe let's think about its operation. I think that's a really good yes for council would be operational cost support as well.
Yeah, and so we can go out to some local businesses and see if we can get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You might not get it, in which case we'll be bringing it to the table and making a decision because it will put upwards pressure on rates. But if you do get it, it makes it very easy. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Look, like a very, very cool idea.
Free showers.
Free showers.
For the freedom of
Next on my list, we've got Shona Ray from Cromwell Mini Golf. Welcome, Shona.
Right. Then this thing is a big side. Right up winter past, I do it here. I had at least 2 roots come out of the little side. They've come down to me. So it's, yeah, a lot of sun, still. Okay, right, as you can notice, a paper that says that they want to close the middle and, I'm sure why, but anyway, so why? Closing mini golf would be another small business and family orientated activity for people of all ages enjoy this activity. Seems to me that there's been little consultation with the community, as it has already been noted, there is a map that doesn't seem to be any real conflict with the proposed Murray Terrace Continued Road. Actually, southwest corner, big corner of mini golf doesn't even have any mini golf structures on it. So, you know, if it was needed, that could actually be done away with. What else? At this stage, does anyone have any idea of this roading that was going to happen? Because I've heard a rumor that maybe there's no funding.
What this board has been told is that it's likely to happen in February.
Okay.
And that is, but I believe that there may have been a slightly different message at council.
I think that's kind of the timeline that we are hoping for. There are some funding things that have been prioritised at council.
Yeah, 20 odd years I've been there, I've never actually seen an accident.
Because you sit there for 3 hours not knowing where to go.
What's that?
Because you sit there for 3 hours not knowing if you can go or not.
An accident looking at your road sign. Back.
Yeah, let's not go down there. Carry on.
Any questions?
Yes, your thoughts on what you would like to do.
Well, I just think it's such a shame that something like that that's been there for 25 years, and it's still a good nick. It's going to be awful, you know, because I've got family friendly prices compared to some of the activities around. I just, I'm kind of sad about that.
And your own personal involvement in the business during the last time you
I've
came
been
to
there
New
for 23.5 years.
Yeah, so probably not another 23 and a half.
No.
Right? So what are your, just in terms of what you're thinking?
Well, you know, I'm happy to hang it up a little bit longer, but you know, but it depends on what happens.
Yeah, but just so I know, like when we're making decisions on
Well,
things.
yeah, it would be a nice business for somebody else. Except for, you know, everybody else is having fun working, which isn't always that much fun, but in life, that's life, that's the way it is, and that's when you make it.
Yeah, but you personally, like if it isn't sold as a going concern, like have you got another 5 years in you, have you got another 1 year in you, do you want something like this?
No, that's.
Yeah.
Spring chickens, they do a big
I
thing.
think we're more talking more about business motivation, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I enjoy the people, you know, I guess. They all get 20 questions, where are you from, how long have you been here, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And for many years, I actually kept, and where people came from, I had, you know, except for Targa Southland, and then, I've still got to live big. Yeah, it was quite interesting. I came probably 2000 and came to Targa Southland, but it was always few that came from all over. Like, at this time of year, you get quite a lot of people from Singapore and people like that, and that would be summer holidays. So why do you come to Cromwell? So, yeah. So yeah, from that point of view, yeah, people business, these are business.
Yeah.
And, you know, possibly a little bit, you're there, but yeah.
I mean, there's all talk of town centre redevelopment and things like that. So I think practically, I I think it would be hard to sell the business as a going concern as we just don't necessarily know what's happening with those plans at the moment. But I think my question is, how long would you want to keep it?
Yeah, I know, I was saying, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And David, speaking on in support of the, welcome, David.
Yeah, I'm just following up the show, and we haven't confirmed, we just confirmed when we came into the room, but I'll try and keep it short. Just to consider when you're driving past Frankton towards Queenstown to your left, and look at the landscaping and that between the road and the massive complex there is there, and how it kind of looks attractive and whatnot. What I thought of as we went through this process, and I'll explain why it came in 2 minutes. If you get out by the fruit bowl and you look south towards the mall, that what are we going to be looking at in 10 or 15 years? It'll be a permanent fixture forever, basically across the fruit bowl reserve. What brought me here was I looked at the proposal, and obviously the decommission process for the mini golf is well underway. Actually, probably could be concluded today. But what occurred to me was that the road from Isles Street across to Murray Terrace, it doesn't actually impinge on the mini golf property at all. Not even a deviation, it's just straight line extension of Murray Terrace. I thought, well, what was the big hurry? You know, I think having a crossroads there is a very good idea, well and trained, and it makes a lot of sense. But what I'm thinking of is looking back this way from the road. If and when the mini ball's gone, what's going to take its place, and what sort of aspect are we going to have? What are people going past what are we going to remind them of? That sort of thing. The loss of facilities like the mini ball in relation to the skateboard park and the playground was put there for a reason, to attract people into Cromwell. And we have to, persevere with that idea, embellish it if we can. I just picked out of the thing, the realignment is a key enabling components of the fruit reserve area. And yeah, I guess I came along just to start off the consultation process and respond to it. I was responsible for the setup of the labouring hall and also the community housing problem in the day. And looking back towards that site and thinking what the vision was then and what it is today.
And I guess that's where we've got our PSG group working on what might happen next in those spaces, trying to think about how we do attract people to come into Cromwell. That's one of the biggest things that they've been tasked with, is that thinking. So yeah, so we're with you on that. How do we make that an attractive entrance, and how do we make wayfinding into Cromwell less complex?
That's right, that's true. Yeah, there's 2 entries in, and of course through the other end, through the industrial zone. But so I'm just pleased to be here and to share a little bit of information. Thank you.
And thank you for coming to share your thoughts on the road not interfering with mini golf. It's a question that we'll be asking in the public forum when the paper comes up about that. And I think there's 2 parts to this. One, there is the longevity of the mini golf in that area with the town redevelopment that's going on at the moment. And there is the part about, well, if we can't guarantee that, what can we do with shorter term? And that will be discussed today as well. So, but thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you to all our speakers in our public forum today. You've all given us things to think about and things that no doubt we'll come back to and discuss and maybe ask for further information from the staff team to help us make decisions in the future. Next, we go to page 7 and the confirmation of the minutes from the meeting held on 7th of July. Do I have a mover and a seconder for those? Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. All in favour?
Aye.
Next, we go to our declarations of interest and a reminder to elected members to stand aside from decision making if there is a conflict of interest, and to ensure that if there are more things that need to go on your declaration, that you are in contact with the governance team to make sure that that has been completed. And then we go straight to page 18 and to the Cromwell mini golf licence to occupy. Zelda, welcome.
And Michelle, QP and Gareth.
And Michelle Kimberly Gareth. There's only one name on my list of people, but welcome all of you.
Thank you. So I'm going to be Zelda today. I'll take the report as read. So in a nutshell, we are working with roading to get the line, the road bridge, low road bridge alignment done. Well, but no, just
So shall we go back to Zelda because
it's going to affect substantially, which is why I keep sitting at the table. I'm going to be able to explain that. We have had many engagements with the mini golf, and it's been a back and forth over the last couple of years with a couple of extensions. But we're actually getting, we've had the last extension now, and we're actually getting to the last of the tenure, working on developing the northwest and on bow tie area and what that looks like. And it's just time to move on. So, Kippy, you can explain the impact of the road.
Yeah, I got the funding piece as well, and timeline piece, just for clarity around, I guess, what boards were and what councils were. So there is a potential opportunity for co-funding from NZTA in the current financial year, and that is something that we're working closely with NZTA on.
What is the current financial year? Is it 30 June next year?
And the year we're in currently.
Which is 30 June.
Yeah. And so if we are successful, there is the opportunity for, I guess, a significant portion of co-funding to enable this project to potentially proceed, subject to council being approval of the other share, because it is not currently budgeted in this year by council or NZTA. So we are having those conversations, and it is a possible, and it would be a good opportunity because it's something that we had previously missed out on funding for when we applied as part of the 2024 3-year national.
Just for a point of clarification, this is for the next 9 months. That we've got funding potentially on the table for this current year, which is another 9 months.
And that's where that February kick-off timeframe started around. So we've submitted a business case for this project to NZTA. They're reviewing that, and I understand they're meeting this month, and we'll have an outcome to go to council around that.
And the total cost of the road and how much NZTA would be submitting to that road?
Total cost of the works would be circa 2 million.
2 million. Yeah.
With around 50% subsidy from
NZTA. So what we're talking about is $1 million of money that otherwise ratepayers and Cromwell would spend.
Yeah, correct. This is all subject to,
of course.
And hence that's where the February start date come from. So we've done the indicative design, we've done the test pits and seal design and everything like that, because regardless, this is a project that we've had direction of working with property around as an enabling project town centre. And if the funding was not to come forward, council may make a decision to proceed or apply through the current long-term plan national land transport fund, so co-funding for next financial year 2026.
Yeah.
So none of this work. We might just go back on the track for a couple of minutes. With regards, so indicative designs do have been particularly particular towards the supermarket fresh choice end in more significance, but it does cut across the front of the site. So it would affect some of the holes potentially across that place. Much,
Yeah, the current lease with the mini golf expires in December, so we lined up the timing. And if the project does kick off for construction to commence in February, it kind of makes logical sense to wind up the lease, not do any more renewals, and then get into construction.
First of February, that would be the biggest revenue for Shona would be December, January, right, in terms of summer. That's when most people come through. Is there anything wrong with allowing her to operate till February if that's when the road is going to be commenced? I mean, we're talking about mothballing a business. Obviously, if the road needs to go through it, that's a fairly solid reason, especially if it's $1 million. That saves the ratepayer from something that's never really has to be done anyway. But why would we mothball it 2 months early? There's a revenue opportunity there for this business.
There's also an obligation to our visitors, I think, to have it open for an activity to do in town. So it's not just to the operator showing it, but I think we also owe it to our visitors to not wind it up prematurely. So,
Is there a requirement from NZTA to have the work completed at the financial year? Yeah, so
probably rather looking at it, looking forward to it.
Because potentially some of the work potentially could have this side of Christmas. That's what we just don't know.
Is that realistic though? Like it could, but are we talking like a 1% chance or a 50% chance?
we haven't fully outlined the construction timeline. There was 2 options around doing it and starting pre-Christmas, shutting down for the Christmas break and having a shorter construction window and post-Christmas, or hitting it really hard fast post-Christmas. Both are going to have massive impacts on the town centre and delivering a project like this. And we're in a construction period window of summer months anyway with the type of work that we're doing. It's going to be massive disruption anyway. So we haven't fully planned the best way of doing it yet. That's we're working on quite a quick time frame in terms of our work to get to this point around getting something to NZTA with the potential funding. The next stage is actually planning that out if we do get that co-funding.
In both of your professional opinion, is there any chance that extending it out to February is going to impact the works there?
There is a risk in making a decision right at this moment.
Yeah. So can we leave this on the table then?
When are we likely to know the funding decision?
We need to know to actually plan construction by the end of this, in terms of getting a report to council as well, because ultimately this would have a financial impact on council as well. So we are working to an August timeframe. I think if it was the end of September, we'd be pushing to have a contractor on board to actually deliver these works. So our goal is August, but it would be touching over September.
The one thing I'm very concerned about is kicking a small business out during its most revenue making months and then having a bunch of visitors come in and not be able to use a mini golf thing because it's been mothballed with no road being built. You know, like it's just going to the optics as well, like horrific.
Yeah, it just sort of feels like we're making this decision before we've got the other decision, before we know exactly what's going to happen. Because if the funding isn't approved by NZTA, then the chances of this project going ahead are really low, aren't they?
Any decision with council, but our officer recommendation would be to apply through the 27 National Land Transport Fund for this project in year 1 and wait for the outcome of funding, which would be August, 12 months from now.
Okay. And if that were to happen, obviously mothballing the mini golf at that point would have been a really terrible mistake, right?
But even that impact on the work at Christmas time.
Sounds like next community board meeting, you're going to have a pretty good idea about the timeframes, aren't you?
We should have a much better update of the and then again, if we can work around what our construction window looks like and take into consideration, and there can be a work around what that looks like. But yeah, I think we're absolutely happy to work for the benefit of the mini golf area in terms of construction, but we still will have a construction window that will be really tight.
Yeah.
And we will have to do what we need to do, and we'll have our timelines around achieving what we need to achieve. But there is potential for there could be a few more weeks.
Yeah.
So if I can just clarify quickly, this lease is expiring in December. We would have to go and seek permission from the board and then council again to do another lease. There's no right of renewal in this.
But it wasn't even signed, right? Whether
Sorry, there is actually
Actually,
a month to month after that.
Okay.
It's suggestion in terms of the license to occupy. So we have seen that's the expiry date, which I think is actually 30 November, but we can renew by month after that.
Okay.
If it gets on.
The other part of our report is also about reinstating the land for you to agree that we won't be asking for that to happen. Of course, there's going to be construction where you might as well.
Yeah,
put that
and I
on
would
the-
think that would be a
Yeah.
fair thing to do, that not to expect
Yeah.
that to be. I suppose a risk for us when we're considering this, when we don't know whether there's funding in place and whether the construction will take place at the end of 26, beginning of 27, or in fact it won't actually take place until 27, 28, leaves because if Shona closes the business at the 30th of November, removes picks up her clubs and heads west, that we've then got a closed, empty looking facility potentially for a whole nother year until we know what the construction timeline is, until we know whether or not that funding is actually going to happen. So that's why I'm thinking, have we got this discussion back to front? And I understand there's a lease that's expiring or a license to occupy. You've explained that could be a month by month once we know, but if we make that decision today, then we are saying either, yes, you can keep it open till then, and that might be wrong, or we're saying, no, you must close it by then, and that might also be wrong. I don't think we've got all the information we need to make the decision. That's my personal opinion.
Me too. I think that being a bit more crash than that is if we're going to remove the community asset and business, we need to be able to tell ratepayers we're saving them $1 million by doing so. That's because then they can easily weigh up between the two when they're forming their opinions about whether us to recommend the main right to.
Just a test. If we get a decision by NCTR, over fund, because we have to construction completed by middle of May.
The ceiling will need to be completed by 15th of May.
February to that we're over line and get that stuff done.
It'll be a very tight program. And that's the thing is once we've got our construction window, it might be 15th of January, might be 20th of January. So
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, that until you know what that looks like.
But my concern is any delay in making that decision, we might know what it looks like, but then we might say, can't get it done. We have a high charge probably getting funding this financial year potentially, and the next financial year. There is an opportunity, but it might not be as high.
I think go get the funding, and then we make the decision at the next community board meeting, right? Because it's till the 30th of November in this paper, and the next community board meeting happens till the 30th of November.
But in time to get the contract in place and the tenders in place and all that lined up, would we get
it's just police.
That's just for the lease.
well, once we get the permissions, can we get the contracts in place?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we leave it to lie, at the moment, the license to occupy expires on the 30th of November. What we'll know in our October meeting is whether we can extend that by a month or whether we have to sit on that time frame for Shona.
But if it's October too late, we're sending it to the council.
The medical decision won't impact our construction. Yeah.
Would that be a tenable option to a month extension? Like if you went a month and you went into.
I would say that the lease fire, it's considered as it stands right now.
Yeah.
And if QP comes back with a decision that's favourable in the writing, then you guys can make a decision to formalise it. I think just leaving it on the table is fine, and then at the next community board meeting we can raise it again.
Is there opportunity in there to have a clause in it that says the lease is subject to? Like, can there be an early termination clause in there? I mean, at the end of the day, Shona's in the room with us. We're talking about this. It's not like it's.
Well, I think the termination clause is in there, so it's expiring.
So is that, no, but if she were to, or if we were to be of a mind to allow that to continue operating, because we're not quite sure. I think she understands the parameters we're working under. We don't want to close a business down if the road's going to go there, but we're certainly not going to stop the road realignment for business. Like, I don't think there's any difficulty around the table there and understanding that, is there? We're all on that page. So we're certainly not going to sit here and say, no, she's going to keep that mini golf and the road's going to have to go around her. A bigger feature.
I guess if you make the call on in October, we still know then whether 30th of June is the end date or whether we should give another, sorry,
Yeah,
30th
I
of
think
November.
if it lies on the table, the 30th of November is the end date because that's what your current licence to occupy says. So that effectively that is what will happen. If you know you've got funding then, and it's likely to, if we've got that start window, then you know that that's definitely happening. But if you don't get funding and that window is pushed out another year, then that gives us an opportunity to work with the community organisation, you know, with a small.
Or if you get the funding and there's a plan of works there that means actually she could maybe stay to, could we do another month, 30th of November, like you say, month by month, here we go.
What does it
December.
look like? Yeah.
We'll look to
Yeah, and once that's in place, I don't think there's any.
Knowing that the 30th of November is the time frame currently.
Yeah. But that's only if it isn't to be renewed. Yeah. But in some part, be it a month or 2 months or not. That's to be decided next.
I completely agree with the not requiring full remediation on the site. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be a financial burden. It's a little bit
Unfair. Yeah. Right, so
is there any remediation, that any removal of anything or anything like that that you see that is like in between the end of a lease and however long it would take?
Well, there's usually there's a remediation clause in place, which
Yeah.
usually means that
But
the
we
generator
take that.
gets original stuff.
Take that out completely.
So yeah, we're just going to we'll deal with it.
So-
You can have construction included in there, and when we do go into development, we'll just deal with it.
So it's literally pack up your belongings that you want to remove and walk away.
Yeah,
So it's not a long.
no, it's
Yeah.
it's literally remove removables.
Yeah.
In actual,
Anyway, yeah. Cool.
we'll deal with it.
if we, just thinking about if we wanted to, if we want to if we want to get this as a recommendation so that it is able to go to council, because potentially by the time it goes to council, you'll have some of those answers. Do we need to put something into B that says about construction timelines or
Timeline,
about
yeah.
that you put in another bullet point there that says once construction timeline is finalised, then the board may extend, or depending on the construction timeline, may extend the lease on a month by month basis to fit in with the construction timeline. Because then you're not being constrained by this isn't going to happen and waiting to come, because we know it's a long time between meetings.
Yeah, can we future-proof something for council, which literally says.
Which says
thank
you
for
just
your
do that,
feedback.
if it comes to you by next council meeting, then that's a done deal. But if it isn't there, then we've got the ability to say to Shona, okay, we're willing to talk month on month until we're able to start construction. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So we'd be
particularly over
quite
that summer
specific
period.
that a month on month means it's termination within a month as well.
Yeah.
So that we don't
Yep.
drag this out.
Yes, it would be, I mean, I suppose what we're looking at is if we don't get the funding and that she's got one last summer that she can actually operate, then that's a fair thing to do. It might not happen like that, and we
Yeah.
fully understand that, and I think that Shona probably fully understands that as well. But that's a thing that would leave everybody leaving this space feeling like they've been listened to. Yeah.
Cool.
Gareth, one final question. I just shown asked it on what defines fixtures and fittings. Can she just literally get up and walk away and we will
Yeah, so
demo the fencing and all that?
so I always use my analogy, anything up or down, and chuck it, anything that falls out, they can take away.
Yeah,
Anything that's left is just lesson, so.
okay, cool.
Okay.
And I was gonna ask whether we actually have to proactively do anything about the month on month, or whether it just daisy chains after the agreement, but we don't actually have an agreement, right? So.
No, we don't, and I think it is important as well, that if you can actually understand the sign, otherwise we're actually exposing council to a little bit of risk. It's effectively unlawfully occupying a piece of land when public also doing, so we actually do need the police or license to occupy site.
Have a go, Sarah. Got some.
Well, we've put it in as a C and it might fit as C or it might actually be better as one of those bullet points. So it says, once construction timeline is finalised, the board may extend the licence to occupy on a month-by-month basis.
Or
Is
just
that too woolly?
could choose to terminate within a
Yeah,
month,
and-
right? Just to make it.
Once construction is finalised, the board may extend the licence to occupy on a month-by-month basis with a month-by-month.
I just don't, we don't want to have staff go back and constantly renegotiate every month, right? We just want to be like, you can do it until we tell you you've got 30 days to get out.
So we just say.
Thursday.
Council notes.
30 days notice.
Yeah.
With 30-day
By
notice.
either party?
Yeah. Notice of termination clause.
So can we change bullet point 2 around fixtures and fittings to literally be whatever the tenant wants to take? So that she's very clear that we're not going to make her
And the knitting off the fence.
remediate anything that she doesn't want to take.
No need
We're
for
good.
mediation, or are we?
Yes, there's no need for mediation. So what are we actually requiring the tenant to take?
Whatever she would like.
Whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
Just moving forward, that's the vibe behind the rest.
so we don't need the bit that says the tenant will be required to remove all fixtures and fittings by.
No, we'll just deal with it, whatever they want to take,
Yeah.
we'll deal with
Okay.
it.
So this is what we've got. At the moment, agrees to recommend to council that notice be issued to the licensee Cromwell Mini Golf to vacate mini golf site to enable realignment of Murray Terrace, Isle Street intersection and support future development through reserve. That is still stands. So on or before 30th of November, consistent with the provisions of the unsigned licence to occupy. And as noted, that licence to occupy, should we put in this next bit, would need to be signed in order for us to offer
Yes, please.
those extensions. Noted that the requirement to remediate the site would be removed from the lease agreement.
So do we need that third bullet point?
So don't need the next one, do not require full remediation of the site.
I actually think we shouldn't have them noted that before.
When I just
We're
take,
not
yeah,
gonna
take out
remove
the
it.
do not, yeah, that
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, take that
All
one.
that one, yeah.
Yeah. Do not require full remediation of the site's road limits will address the removal of remaining mini golf infrastructure, take out the word remaining.
The roading works won't necessarily address the removal of mini golf infrastructure.
As,
It'll be future development works.
pardon?
Future development works.
As future development, no, leave that bit. As, instead of roading works, future development works. Well, that's your recommendation, that it wouldn't be the roading works, it would be us saying, right, we're developing this site, so we're clearing the land for that. Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Once a construction timeline is finalised, the board may extend the licence to occupy on a month-by-month basis with a 30-day notice. A 30-day termination clause on signing of the current lease.
And then the final thing, Anna, will be, do we want to just future-proof this, that if QP gets his money and it happens to go to council first, our recommendation is if QP gets $1 million for the road, that we,
What's that?
Yeah.
that we allow council to,
Yeah.
we don't let it lie to our next board
No,
meeting.
no, it doesn't need to come back to us. I think that this is to say, this doesn't need to come back to us.
Yeah.
We've made the decisions that we need to make. We've put something in there that hopefully makes it through the recommendations to council. That means that if we're in a situation that the timeline blows out a year, we're not going to expect the site to be emptied before the timeline starts.
Yeah, it's good because I think if he's taking the stuff to you can remind council.
Yeah, that's great.
We know the kind of goal.
Do we need to run any admin to make sure the unsigned licence to occupy is consistent with what we're talking about there in terms of removal of stuff and remediation? Or is that just operational?
It's operational.
Yeah, okay.
We understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Where are we at, team?
I think there's a community board around a golf going on sometime before 30th of November, just in
I
case.
suspect there probably will be a community board game of golf going on, maybe on the 29th. I don't know what day of the week that is. Okay.
You feel that doesn't affect you at all the way we've written that?
And no, good. It won't be before the 30th of November.
No, but you'll have your timeline before the 30th of November. And if it says construction's happening and just starting before Christmas, then we're covered for construction starting before Christmas, but we're also covered for, it doesn't start until Christmas 2027. Yeah.
Construction also doesn't have to start within the fence of the mini golf. There's a few sides to the job.
I mean, it's not just going to disrupt mini golf when construction starts. Let's be really honest here. We will be the people that are being complained about, just like it's happened in Milton and other places where we're disrupting businesses because there's a road being constructed. So we're all right.
Catch base will be free money.
Okay, righty ho. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move that.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favour?
Thank you, team.
Got that. Right, we've been down.
What's next?
Righty ho. Next, we go to the Cromwell splash pad proposal. Welcome, Gordon. Gordon. It says Gordon on my piece of paper, so it's Gordon today.
This better be good then.
Thanks.
Thanks for showing us. Can I say thanks for running an institution for 23 years? And a half. Go you.
Page 2014.
Thank you. So, yeah, we had a good presentation on what a split pad looks like. Many have probably been to one. And I guess the be great to have one in the district. But yeah, the ongoing operational and maintenance costs are the thing that really needs to be thought of. And that does include depreciation. And I put 20-year life on it, but I've probably been quite generous of that, trying to get that kind of thing down. Because they are quite, like running a swimming pool, really, outdoor swimming pool, because the water's got to be treated, and people do things in water that you don't expect people to do in water, like they do in a pool. So, and people were there to drink it and fluff around in it. So we won't go into detail, but you know what needs to be clean.
That's all.
So I guess
Parented.
I guess that's why that is a main consideration. It's going to be up here of £8,000 a year to do that, to maintain it, including depreciation. And I think it's probably a bad thing. It is an option. I think it's an option to depreciate, but it's probably bad practice to do that.
Just running through that point. So we get given an asset at zero cost, and then we depreciate that asset, and then we say that that's an expense. How does that work?
Well, normal accounting rules and our accountants aren't here, but we, all assets depreciate.
Yeah.
If the intention is to replace it, then we typically depreciate and we rate fund depreciation. So that when that.
So it's about the replacement cost.
Yeah.
I think that we've been given things in the past that haven't always turned out to be thought they might have been.
Right.
They end up costing our people a lot of money.
Yeah, understand it.
Because normally if you're having a program, like say we're putting in control, we would be fund that, so we'd be paying interest on the fund of that, plus we would be depreciating it, so that would be replaced. So how it's funded, and the depreciation are two different.
Yeah, okay.
So you think of the big fruit itself, which was also a gift,
We depreciate.
that
Plus 100 grand.
cost £100 to paint the last time we painted it.
What's the word?
Fruit.
Yeah.
I just really hope it doesn't need repainting
Oh.
any of our times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, this will be the third repaint in the terms I've seen on the board, so that's a lot of money. A lot of money. So those are the sorts of things that when we accept gifts, we've got to be really mindful of what is the ongoing cost to our ratepayers. We can go, wow, that looks amazing and how much fun, but
It'll need paint.
it won't just need painting.
Have
It
there
probably
been-
need fencing too, will it?
Has there been any peer analysis of the cost of these? Because I mean, I used to live next to one in the city and it doesn't look very expensive to run. And I know everything costs more than I expected to, but there's not too much to them.
So the closest one to here is Parrot.
Yeah.
Which we done a couple of years ago. I think it was funded by.
Can't be warm enough there for more
Funding
than
side things, but they have a different model of operating. So in-house staff there, that it's just another duty for their staff, so to speak. We have a contract model, so we have to pay for that. But essentially, we are paying for it, but it's more of a hidden cost. And they do appreciate it as well. So that's their bottom line.
And they're rocking it at 100 grand a year.
No, they couldn't tell me exactly what that was because it's just staff can't do what they do.
So-
And it's not as big as the one proposing. So,
Testing's testing though, right?
It's just, it's taking.
yeah,
The whole, but we won't need to test it. That worries me a little bit.
I think health and safety wise, we need to test, yes. And if and we need to fund them up front, and if we find we don't after 6 months, because whatever, we will stop them.
Is there some sort of efficiency though, when you test the pool, you go test the,
Well, we looked at that as well. There's still a staff member having to come and do that, and you can send it away.
Southern Waters, sorry, currently we test we do our water sampling now in-house through young scientists, graduates. So, potentially there's something that we could
Potentially.
pass off.
That's not a major cost though, if you know what I mean. There's a few savings in there, but you're still looking at 80 odd grand or more to operate the thing. We can look around the edges, save a bit on the power, save a bit on the costs of testing the water. But you're still looking at a substantial amount of money around that asset if you want that asset. They did say that, it's at least 2 years away. And I mentioned the report, they were thinking of an Alpha Street Reserve down here, but I'm thinking there's some other sites that it might help activate because it does attract people who might go and pick a coffee here, for example, or one was out in the Big Fruit Reserve when that part of down gets developed. It might use that. So it's probably a timing thing. I think like that. Yeah. Are we quite ready for it yet? I'm not sure. But the idea is good, and just how we fit that in with our, I guess, operational costs going forward, which are getting squeezed through the government processes. I'm not sure. So there may be other things we want them to spend $1 million on that might be more beneficial on. I don't know. They're all things we probably need to think about as well.
We could use it.
Yeah.
with your guys' plans for development of the bow tie at the moment, have we thought about a splash pad in that area with new civic buildings and all sorts of carry on, or is it plausible to put it there?
We talked about play in general.
Yeah.
In that space, nothing specific.
Yeah. It certainly fits, it ticks a lot of boxes in terms of it's something that's visitor friendly, it's attractive to stuff. So there's a lot of things that it does work there. And that's kind of what my question was leading to at the time, and is that we're way off knowing what we're putting where or anything with that bow tie particularly. In my mind, it probably fits best there. And if somebody's going to build it for us, well,
yeah, I'm the same opinion, right? Especially after they said that this is where the mums go during the day. Well, putting it down on Alpha Street is not exactly going to help our small business.
It's no.
No.
The only other option would be putting it near Te Puna Maha.
I'm not sure it's got the best angle.
Oh, it's got a couple of snakes.
It's a water slide.
Sorry?
There's the flat out there that we looked at a playground, and
We have some investment.
that's a playground.
Yeah.
Don't you have the fun?
I don't think we're a complete hard no on this, but I just don't think that we've got enough information to or a complete hard yes. I think that we like the idea. It looks like it's really fun, but
I see the potential that.
I have an enthusiasm for the project. Yeah, I think it's something that the places I've been, they are things that the kids love. And I'm thinking traveling around Europe, they're things that you get out of the car, whether you want the children to be wet or not, the children are wet when they get back in the car. So having something to do in town that allows you time to dry the children is handy. So putting it somewhere where we'd like to invigorate our town, this is a really clever idea on how to get the mums to stay. For the children.
Bring a change of clothes.
Yeah.
always been like that because we've got the water through the wall.
Swinging wall has been the plan of my life, trying to go to some stuff with to children. 18.
And when I were little, they were always wet on the way home.
How much does it cost us to maintain the screen?
Well, this is great for
And if we do protect the screen,
Do we not talk about this room?
No.
Is there any issue with them looking into a naming right sponsor and
Yeah.
commercialisation of it as it was going to be hosted council?
Lying on the table, subject going back and saying, come back to us with some more options on how they could.
Because for that amount of money, it's a reasonably insignificant
Yeah.
amount for a naming right sponsor in town. If it was somewhere like out here, or if it was.
how's your reserves plan for sponsorships?
Well-
How's your reserves plan looking?
A New Zealand like.
Does it need to be somewhere where there's?
Yeah, but that would be operational, whether you would ask us under this to help to the depreciation, that's probably council. Have the sponsorship, I mean, the depreciation cost though.
Yeah, so there are some costs that would have to be council and there are other costs that might be able to be sponsored by somebody.
Yeah,
And I have said ultimately that I think the direction was, possibly not Doreen's to take, but if it were to be the wrong place and we developed that land and it was gone, they would probably consider fundraising for another one. So I don't think depreciation is the hill to die on for it.
depreciation would help to build another.
Well, yeah, but if they're saying they'll help you build another one, I don't think that's what we need to get hung up on as to whether we're going to do it or not. So depreciation's run it. Is it a closed circuit water system?
Yes.
It won't be paid and it stays in there forever.
Well, it goes through the system to clean it up a wee bit, but yeah.
So I mean, I had a question.
Yeah, it's probably right.
You're gonna
I
know
don't
the
know
answer.
anything about it.
You're gonna know the answer to this straight away, Gordy, but obviously in Perth, they need to look after fresh water and the amount they use. But here we've got a bit of a luxury around that. Is there a way that it can be done without being treated, or it's constantly?
You mean number down the lake through.
Or something to that effect.
You probably have to treat it for,
You need to treat it for people
yeah.
to go to a different.
Just get the.
In the lake,
Okay,
everything.
I love it.
It's a different risk model. You running, you always to go to the lake, but us providing something.
I see.
Jumping is probably slightly different risk model.
I see.
I think it's a great activator for in that summertime, and we've got guests here just to that stay and play. We've done a lot on the play strategy and a lot on the play space stuff, and they all kind of tie in. And we look at all these things in isolation. I don't think we should. I think we need to just go a bit higher and be like, actually, this is an activator as much as a football ground is for different age groups. And I think it's a really good one. It's safe, it's healthy, it's, well, maybe not.
There
Hearing it, but
There
yeah,
must
I
be
think
a
it's
way that we can put these guys box on with fundraising, so on and so forth, without determining the exact location. You know,
Oh, yeah,
They're not
that-
asking for
they
an
don't
exact
need that.
location either.
They just want to know if we're interested
They
or not.
want us to say to them that we will take on the ongoing maintenance costs of it.
Yeah.
And that would be, and that we would provide a final spot so they can go to.
And they were talking about
community
raising,
trust and things like that.
they were talking about raising 500 grand.
That's
Is that what
bucks.
Sorry?
Million.
So if we ask them,
Big thing.
if we ask them to raise 1.2 as an example, that would cover so much of this cost, right? So maybe we look at just
You can only
asking them.
ground fund for what it's going to cost us.
It's only on the today.
Again, that's not that. Yeah, that's not our issue to worry about. We get it.
They'll fund whatever it costs to
Yeah.
deal with it and however long that takes.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we going with this team? Because
I
we,
don't,
yeah.
I think we're not in a position to agree to rate more onto our, or put more into our ratepayers.
No, I don't.
Today. But I do think Alpha Street has benefit as a location, because if you put it in the big fruit reserve, it's going to, with the cafe across the road, it's going to take the lion's share. You put it at Alpha Street, someone's going to get a coffee somewhere, probably on the way there and potentially on the way back.
I
Yeah, I think
have
that's
some
friends, eh?
complain about having that coffee, but I wouldn't go drive.
Are people realistically going to go sit in cafes? And
They'll
while-
take
while
their takeaway
people-
coffees, they'll leave the kids there and be like, stay still, I'm gonna go get my coffee, and then I'll bring it back in there.
I just think it would spread the load a bit better. I mean, it's a great excavator, sure, but it could spread the load throughout the town between.
But again, that's not a decision for right now, like
It's not.
fundamentally, do we think that we should say, yes, go ahead? And I think personally, if we say no now, we're guilty of doing all the things that we get upset about happening around here. We're like, oh, we're just too narrow-minded, we don't do.
I think I'd like to see some of the operating costs on the splash pads that are around the country now.
Yeah, get a bit more information on it, but certainly not say, but
How it
maybe that's
relates
the
to our
next,
rate
yeah.
bill.
Yeah,
Is it
Yeah.
$4 on my rate bill?
Yeah.
yeah, and that makes fundamental difference for us making this decision, but to say no at the stage when we don't know any of that.
Yeah. That's definitely not a no, just a, we,
I think we need to leave it to live.
Or if
until
it's,
it's
bring
information.
us a naming sponsor,
Yeah, we'll go
then
back
that
to them and see.
will obviously change again.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
There's a lot of work to do, but the principle.
But you're also talking naming sponsor for 20 years, right? For that to be real tangible.
No, I reckon we'd go with 5. Next cycle, they can worry about it after
A bit more thought on the, like, we have to depreciate parts, like, you know, it's going to be maintenance along the way.
Yeah.
But total replacement at the end, I think, I mean, what's proposed to us is fair, that it doesn't have to get replaced at the end.
It's got a limited life and stuff.
But all the surfacing, the rubbery type surfacing, it might not last 20 years, or it
That'll
might, but we just need to understand that.
Yeah. Bit more information.
that. Bit of a feasibility study, you reckon?
Another one.
Yeah, you love this one.
Scott,
And 39 cents a kilowatt hours, obviously not what we pay.
No, that's right, but it might be, it'd be about half of it, yeah. So.
Hey, we're wanting to save money.
Right, so here is our recommendations. Yeah, put the item is left to lie on the table, noting the board's support for the project in principle, and requested that the Cromwell Rotary and Cromwell Lions explore opportunities to collaborate with the private sector to secure sponsorship. The operating costs are further developed before a report support back to the board. Good with that.
I'll
Love
move
that.
that.
Seconder, thank you. Rebecca, Sarah, Rebecca, all in favour.
All right, all right.
Lovely. Righty ho.
My children are small, are big enough now that we're not, you know, we get them in the car, so
Page 45, request for the Minister of Conservation's consent for electricity easements, open reserves and Cromwell. Stay where you are, Gordy.
Yes, I,
Ordered.
from that meeting, where we board and subsequently the council approved the Aurora easement for through the bank. Yeah. So Aurora has been and had a little look at that and thought it'd be more cost effective and less disruptive if they could go through some of the greenways up the other end of town up to the golf course end. And that's why I want some easements to do that.
Have you done is this like more cost effective as in the capital cost of this current project, or more cost effective in terms of they get to socialise assets over much longer periods of time and cost everybody more money?
I think there's a couple of things. I think with less disruptions to the road network and people's driveways and the school route and things down there as well. And they'll be off the road. So it is probably more cost effective because they don't put seal and concrete and stuff back for them as well. They just need to put sort of the grass in most of the spaces.
I've just come to the very serious realisation over the last couple of years that what utility companies say is cost effective is often what's cost effective for them.
For them, yes, it is cost effective.
Not for the electricity users that ultimately pay their bills. So is it a lower capital cost? Is the question.
They acknowledge that it is cost cheaper for them, which whether that gets passed on to anybody.
Do you know what the capital cost estimates are between the two?
No.
And I asked a question, I don't think it's come back yet from staff around with the rates review, whether this will, how that will affect.
Utilities are rated.
Yep, on easements, or is it only on when they own?
Probably not on easements.
No,
I mean, it doesn't sound like it.
That is a capital improvement.
The recent valuations that have been done by Cubic have looked up all the utilities.
Yep.
So they have a higher value, so they will effectively, as a result of that, depending on which the council goes there, they'll pay. So if we pay on our utilities, they'll pay on their utilities.
Yeah, but we don't charge them for the easements. Yeah,
If they put easements through the road and keep network, then just do that.
We have power license, we charge them easements.
oh, 100%. I'm just wondering, like, how do you do with the rates review with the capital improvements on easements? It looks like that's a bit of a loophole here if we don't charge for it. If we're looking at capital improvement, no?
I don't know how
Shaking his head like
how they value the lines network, but they value the lines network somehow.
It's not just like having wastewater pipe through the road. It's just a way of actually getting industrial motivation.
So we will rate the total, are we rating the total asset value of Aurora's network? How do we rate it?
It would be
They get to be on the road.
That's
So when we've got QB stuff though, like Pete's saying, is that rated as the whole asset gets rated by us, or we actually look at each individual piece of infrastructure that's on our lands?
It's our land.
Yeah.
Sorry,
on their land, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, their land, their side. Yeah. We would rate on their land.
So it's reserved land, it's not right.
Yeah.
Right, so this is, yeah,
More.
yeah,
So, yeah, I was gonna, so to me, it's less public disruption,
Absolutely.
cost savings for what
Otherwise-
you want to look at and.
the disruption to the roading reserve.
Well,
that's
it's
the
the
big
against,
one.
what's this one on
Well,
Yeah, so you know, you've got child,
yeah.
childcare centre and primary school, big impacts here through the reduce makes way more sense.
Next time these guys come along, we get what the capital costs are between the two. Like, I just think it's a really important thing for us to know when we're making these decisions. When they say it's cheaper, I'm guessing it's probably capital cost is cheaper. Yeah,
It should be cheaper because there'd be no, road traffic management.
it's amazing though, when you're building 50-year assets, how people can argue things are cost effective, but their power bills go up like more than they should.
Right,
So that's just the thing we've got to keep in mind. They're like, what is the true cap cost? Was this one
Yeah.
going to be more cost effective to the power bill user, but less cost effective to them because it will require another upgrade in 20 years time?
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
but I think regardless of that, in this decision, that one of the biggest issues or one of the biggest is the disruption. And so reducing that disruption, which is definitely reduced by it not being on road reserve is good.
And just to note, they will be putting in a Dutch for this removal of the other cable. The CN, they do over here. And that might be needed.
not through the whole part of the road, is it?
Because Melbourne's,
Butchers.
Butcher's Drive, yeah.
Okay,
Cool. I think, I'm happy with it. I think the key thing, just to really iterate, is that all our ratepayers are also electricity bill payers, and it's a regulated asset based regional monopoly. So we just want to make sure that when we make these decisions, we're making strong ones. But yeah, that's all. I'm just making my point.
noted.
Yes.
The recommendations are on page 45. Do I have a mover and second?
I'll move it.
Thank you, seconder.
I'll see.
Thank you, Mike. All in favour?
Aye.
And then we move to, thank you, Gordon, Gordy. And your name has been changed to Dylan Rishbrook.
Yeah, I apologize. Clearly. He's been away so long. we've forgotten his name.
See, I need to borrow Sarah's vast died in
Welcome, do you? Page 61.
Thanks, boss.
Ready?
Right at the start, I just want to point out how cool it is to be in this building. And while I've been listening, I've also been staring out the window. It is.
That is part of the problem. Oh, we haven't.
Nice on the
So, yeah, look, credit to the past, present, and all city councillors for delivering such an amazing facility. It's pretty special. Well, I'll take the paper as read. This is really just an update on council's preparedness for the arrival of bird flu into New Zealand. At this stage, really important to point out that Central Otago remains in a preparation phase. There are no confirmed cases in the entire region. There have been cases in New Zealand. They're in the North Island around the Wellington region. So I think you will understand or appreciate through the media reports, it is a highly contagious disease that is spread by birds. It can affect wild and domestic birds. Current advice is there is limited risk to humans. Council, we had specific responsibilities, so particularly in regard to our land owning, our land areas, so areas where birds may congregate, things like wastewater ponds and things like that. So we will have a responsibility to deal with any issues that arise there. We also have a responsibility through our waste management function around the disposal of birds as well, which we are working closely with the broader region. So Otago Regional Council is taking the lead on this. MPI is the national lead and the lead agency for the country. So we're working under those two agencies and with our neighbours as well. We do have an internal response plan. So we've worked with the parks team, the waste management team, health and safety and others to develop our own internal processes. We've completed site assessments across our various risk sites and identified what those are, how we deal with those and how we work with our contractors on those. We are working with our partner agencies, particularly on those that have involvement with the lakes, on what disposal looks like, when carcasses are found or ill birds are found and how that will work. Really important part, particularly for anyone who happens to be listening online, the public play a really important role in this because we're not going to be able to monitor these sites regularly. So when the public do see sick birds, essentially they see 3 or more birds that look sick or are dead, it's an indication that that's an issue and it needs to be raised. So they can raise that by calling MPI directly, or they can also call council if they activate us to call MPI. There will be ongoing public communication and education as the situation develops. And I suppose just in closing, this is purely a preparedness update. As I said before, there is no confirmed cases in Central Otago. We are working with those agencies, our neighbours. We feel that we're well prepared should anything happen, and we'll keep the community updated.
Thank you.
I love our community. They'll go and weed roundabouts. I imagine they'll tidy up bird carcasses as well, which may have a health implication. What is the advice at the moment around, it's called MPI, that's not going to solve the problem necessarily immediately rotting dead carcasses on the side of our lake.
Yep.
So what is the general advice there for?
So the first, or the preferred method of disposal is burial. So it's bury any carcasses that are found. That is to stop other animals coming and feeding off that carcass and spreading, particularly other birds. The second, or the backup option, if burial isn't an option, is to double bag and then put it into the red waste that goes to landfill. Challenge.
Do they need to wear gloves or anything like that? I mean,
there is PPE. So our staff have PPE, and people should treat it as where they should use their own PPE. With the landfill option, it is definitely the least preferred. The issue, even with double bagging, is obviously at landfill, there are birds, seagulls that hang around. There's a risk that they would spread the disease. So landfill is, while it's an option, it's definitely the least preferred option. The areas that and get used PPE. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so recommendation is just that the report be received and its contents noted. Thanks, Sarah.
thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Mike. All in favour?
Aye.
And that takes us to page 63 and the mayor's report.
Thank you. We've got a couple of highlights from our community board. First of all, the light up was a success on the weekend. It was so cool.
16 mile. Swift on stage.
No, you did not.
Yeah.
No.
Saving it for here.
Probably so. The
Good
kids,
for that living.
oh, the kids had an awesome time. Even our 20-year-old had an awesome time, and it was just really neat atmosphere, an excellent buzz, and an incredible lantern pickup. No lines. That was
Smooth.
kind of the magic. It was very smooth. You know, great food and just a really fun family vibe and buzz. That was very cool. Head Start proposal has been occupying a substantial amount of bandwidth in the last week. So effectively our proposal that we will put forward with Clutha, that includes the Queenstown Lakes District, is not asking communities to pretend that they are all the same. And we recognise that Clutha and Wanaka and Cromwell are all quite different. And that's the joy of our proposal, is that it doesn't require them to be the same. It allows each area to maintain their own voice, their own decision making, their own identity, and then have a layer over the top, which is a little bit in contradiction with the other proposal, which appears to be increasing the size of Queenstown Lakes and encompassing us, which I don't think is what we would be keen for. And I've seen a lot of head shaking. So we will continue to refine that proposal, and it will go in before the deadline. In saying that, the Mayor's Potato are all still friends, and we understand that this is politics, this is an election year, this is people looking out for the best for their communities, and it doesn't mean that we can't work together on all of the other things that we do work together on.
And just to be clear, so we are putting a head start proposal through that includes Queenstown and Clutha.
Yes.
Queenstown have voted that down, but they're putting a head start proposal through that includes us with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's the Dunedin Council got to do with it?
Well, they have put in a proposal that includes Clutha, because there is no ability for a council to put in a proposal that says we just want to go on our own, which is a little bit of an anomaly because, you know, our populations, when you look at Queenstown and Wanaka and Cromwell and Alex, all that kind of less than 40,000 people, and then Dunedin City 120,000, whatever they are. They're quite.
Yeah, but I tried Queenstown out of our head start report just to spite them.
Well, you know, I feel like the
we're bigger
community
than-
do enjoy working with Wanaka and Upper Clutha, but no, we have.
Why take them and just be like,
You can make that. That may well be.
oh, I don't mind the people from Wanaka. Mind the people.
For our consultation, when we get to that point, we'll just have to wait and see if either of those proposals or none of those proposals are accepted by the government, but the team is still working very hard.
This
to get
is your
that
chance to yes. A once in a generation.
I'll give a cape and a mask. I'm really excited about the climbing wall at the school. That has been well underway and can't wait to see that all open and humming. This pretty much straight after this, I'm going to hop in the car and drive to Dunedin because I'm going to rural and provincial in Wellington for the rest of the week. And Craig and I are going to be presenting on the secret sauce of Central Otago that makes Mayor's Task Force for Jobs such a success, which is a little bit weird because we feel like it just happens, but evidently it doesn't just happen everywhere else. We had a really great meeting with the Ministry of Social Development, who fund the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs program this morning, and our collaborative efforts with them are brilliant. Craig is also, and I'll put it out here for all of those who are employers, there is a session coming up that helps bridge the generational gap between employers and employees, and anybody who has older generations in their workforce and younger generations working together might like to come along to this, heavily subsidised by the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs. So it's just $49 to understand how to talk to your Generation Alpha and Z employees. So it will be money to well worth it, and I'll send the link to you guys.
Does that include how to talk to your boomers as well?
Well, it quite probably does.
They're not listening, just saying.
I think that might be a very good point. We did a Cromwell Men's Shed opening at the end of last week, along with many of you, which was awesome. I can't wait to see what they turn out of that shed because the facility is absolutely incredible. And there would have been easily 100 people inside there.
I know, it is also now the most resilient building in Cromwell.
I know.
It's batteries.
Well, and the weather was atrocious and everybody was safe and warm and dry, no power glitches. Fantastic. And then also, we are now a little bit safer travelling to and from Clyde from Cromwell because 560 odd goats have been rounded up and gone to live on a farm.
When you
Over the rainbow bridge.
Over the rainbow bridge.
take over ORC's responsibilities, so we're getting a bit better at shooting those.
I think we'll get a lot better at rounding up goats, wallabies, wilding kinds, and taking them to the appropriate permanent place to enjoy the rest of their natural life.
Yeah.
So much that they've cancelled some of those, did you say that?
Yeah, they did. So I think in
So many.
combination with the Tapanui station, which also kind of backs on to Northburn, who's been doing a lot of goat control work and some of the other areas around here. I did see 3 on the side of the road when I drove here earlier this morning, but only 3 and not 53. So much better. So yeah, a big appreciation to the team there. And that's my report.
Thank you. Can I have a mover and a second of Paul Taylor's report, please?
Yep.
Thank you, Ollie.
Playing the game.
And Sarah, all in favour? Righty ho, chairs reports.
Has anyone in your lifetime ever rejected a member or mayor's report? Like, what?
No, my lifetime,
Yeah.
whole lifetime, but
Yeah.
while I've
There's got to
been
be
on,
some there that.
you can tell me that you don't like
We're
mine.
voting that down. You're doing it. Yeah.
But
Well, there's inspiration.
yes, an inspiration. So after our meeting on the 7th of July, I joined Tamer at the St John's Rooms where we talked about what regional deals might look like, what the amalgamation stuff might look like, where we pretty much told people we didn't really know what it might look like, but we would be doing our best to make sure that local voice was still heard. And I believe that even with the things that have happened since then, that is still the goal, that our local voice is still very much a part of what happens and
And videos.
and then I hopped on a plane and went to Melbourne to visit my elderly mother on the 8th, and then managed to fit in some work time with my principal's professional learning group, where I attended a couple of sessions at Melbourne University and then visited Hester Hornbrook Academy, which is a school for 14 to 25-year-olds who have fallen out of the regular school system. So that was a really interesting and inspirational place to visit in their city campus. So really very different model of school that those young people are working through. So that was awesome. And I hopped back on a plane so that I could be here back in time for the opening of this wonderful facility, Te Puna Mahara. Thoroughly enjoyed being part of the 3 events that happened on the Friday, the 3 separate openings that we had, the blessing of the building, opening of the exhibition, which was really, really moving, with Ruka's family taking the lead on that opening. And then the RSA, who it was just so wonderful to see them so happy and celebrating the name and celebrating the venue that they now have. And enjoying, of course, a wee Fanta with them after their lighting of the marching. I have been, the marching might not be my forte. I might have been told off for far too much giggling as I was. It was the new shoes. It was my new shoes, you think that might have been the problem. Possibly I didn't have my boots on. Then thoroughly enjoyed Saturday as well, and seeing the community activating the space. It was probably one of the most wonderful things for me, seeing children activating the museum and using all of the interactive things in there. And just seeing all of the different groups. I'd like to say an enormous thank you to Rebecca Anderson, who took the bulk of the announcing.
I agree with that. I managed to dodge all of it. So thank you.
And I'd like to note that Mike shirked his duties on that day.
Thanks to see.
You're excellent.
And
Really
you're
good.
very excellent.
I had a really good old Cromwell lesson from Phil. I spent a good half hour in the museum going through where the Sanders Butchery once was and all the things. It was great.
I think it was just wonderful that the vision to have the community open our building and make it their building was just the best thing. That all of those different groups coming and performing, celebrating, using the spaces was just wonderful. The bubbles were delicious and it was just a great day. So thank you to everybody who's been involved with putting that event together and with the operational stuff that has now become what this building is. Every time I've been down here, and I've been down here a few times, it's had the most wonderful feel to it. I think that talking with Mana Whenua on the day, they felt that there was a wonderful wairua, there was a wonderful spirit in the building, and that was great to hear. Did follow that up with coming to the very first ticketed event, which was a kapiako event with Jace Tapatu speaking in the auditorium on Thursday, the 23rd, and then came again to Cromcom on Friday night, which was cover for a surprise for my husband's 60th birthday with family all arriving at our house while we were down
Did
here.
you sit in the front row and get roasted?
No, we sat in the 5th row. Didn't get roasted.
Next time.
It was a great event. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Lots of fun, and again, great to see the whole place activated. Yes, it was a member of my school staff who ordered the pizza that caused the fire call out.
Never a better time to
On the
test it.
Thursday, that was the Thursday that we had the fire call out, which was great. It was good to test those sorts of things in the building. Absolutely. I attended a Central Otago Tracks and Wheels meeting on the 28th of July at the racecourse. Babysat for my son and his partner while they came to the next event at Te Puna Mahara, which was the circus event, which was wonderful. So that's me over the last month with my report. Can I have a seconder, please? Yeah. Thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Members' reports. Which direction would you like me to go around the table?
Me first.
Go.
Is it on your-
You with your coffee today.
Thank
You
you.
got it? Cool. So yeah, like Anna, I went straight to the amalgamation simplifying local government workshop straight after our last meeting. Turned up to the men's shed 2 days late on the Saturday just to say good day.
Forgot that one. I did go to the men's shed opening as well. Had
Yeah.
the pie and sausage roll.
Been to 3 events here at Te Puna Mahara after the opening weekend. Pretty much hung around like that for those first 3 days. It was great just hearing comments of people walking in and then people that had clearly never been to Cromwell before on the Sunday going, did this just open yesterday? It's like, yep, timing's everything. So yeah, I went to Jenny Mitchell's concert and Laser Kiwi just last weekend and Light Up Winter, Central Otago Tracks and Wheels. The earthworks consent's been received now. So the arena can get built in the next month or so, hopefully. So it'll be nice coming into next Easter for a big event. Had a meeting with the Friends of Cromwell Cemetery. Kept a pretty keen eye from a distance on the developments over the last month with simplifying local government. And got across Lake Oroko for a couple of nights during Matariki, so that was cool.
Thank you. Did also go to Light Up Winter. Might have noticed the fabulous Goldfields installation, our big lanterns.
Wasn't really.
How'd they go fitting out the doors at school after you made them inside? Didn't you manage them?
Don't you worry. Joinery van was employed to get them where they needed to be. Rebecca.
I'd actually headed to St John's to listen in on the Head Start 101, you know, listen to Tamara and Anna and
Karen.
Eleanor, after last meeting. And then the next day we farewelled we dog Axel. So it's been a sad month. So the house is very empty. 13th of July, we had a PSG meeting.
Kids in there?
No, thanks. I've got my 2 kids at home at the moment.
Oh.
PSG meeting on the town centre. 14th of July, I headed up to Terrace to the hall committee meeting. They're still looking at handrail and ramp being installed, and they've had investigating some loss of water in the tank. So yeah,
Yes.
that resolved. I'm not sure.
Still investigating.
Still investigating. Yeah. And they're painting a working V around the front of the building and how they can tidy it up, make it more presentable, especially for Anzac Day next year. And yeah, like all my fellow colleagues here at the blessing of Te Puna Mahara and the opening weekend. And yes, I hung around like a bad smell as well for the weekend. It was pretty cool. And I organised a group bus, checked out some some part of it for Cromwell on the Friday night, but week at 6, we had a great night. It was fabulous. And yeah, very cool. And we had the town centre workshop on the 20th, was the PSG meeting as well. And then another PSG meeting on the 27th, and then one yesterday. So yeah, that's the main. Thank you. Lots of meetings. Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, the school holidays for me. So I actually took 2 weeks off, so it's a much lighter report than usual, which is good. But 13th of July, I attended the Cromwell Resilience Group meeting at the Men's Shed, which was really cool, just to talk about our AFH stuff. So Peter, I'm going to start getting much more annoying about resilience. Be prepared for that. Sarah, an error in sorry.
No pun intended.
Yeah. 17th of July, that's a bullet point that's in there by mistake. So I didn't really do much during the school holiday period. 18th of July, obviously, was the Puna Mahara, and I will happily put my hand up and say that I was actively avoiding the emceeing responsibilities. So thank you very much, Wally and Rebecca, for doing that, and David as well.
We were just lucky to get the mic on, Dave.
Yeah. Spoke to so many different people, and I think just a huge credit to the staff for making that a really successful day. I can't really stress that enough. 20th of July was the town centre workshop, so shout out to that. And then so sort of going back slightly to the 8th of July, I presented a bunch of webinar series around energy affordability. This one was the one that was done in Waikato. Also on the 8th of July was a dinner that you came along to, which was really nice, along with John Glover and a bunch of people in the region that we hosted, which was around energy innovation in the space and how we keep going and make this whole area, Queenstown and Central, a lot more innovative when it comes to energy. So that was attended by quite a large number of people, which was really awesome. But thank you, Tamar, for coming through the gorge. I know you like to avoid that place as much as you can, so appreciate that. The 21st of July was big because that was the Green Party announcement around their energy policy. So I had a lot of media events on that, or media interviews on that day. And then on the 21st, going from one end of the political spectrum to the other, I also was part of the Good Faith Yarns with John Glover through the Free Speech Union in Queenstown. So I got accused of being a left-wing and a right-wing patsy on the same day. So, that was a new experience for me. 22nd of July, I appeared on the Opportunities podcast discussing their abundant energy policy. 27th of July, recorded an episode which isn't out yet from the Care Beyond Profits podcast, and also presented to FMG staff across the country on solar and battery opportunities for farmers and what it means for insurance. 29th was a really special day for me. I got to present to the Iwi Leaders Forum over in Tahuna, which was really cool. Ended up having 45 minutes to talk about my kaupapa and what we're looking to do there, and that was really highly received. I know that was the case because I struggled to leave afterwards because we had too many questions from too many iwi leaders, so that was really cool. Following day, hosted the co-leaders of Te Pāti Māori on my farm, again discussing electrification policies to help them with their policy. very, very exciting on the same day, going back to this left wing, right wing juxtaposition that I find myself in. David Seymour also announced his findings of the red tape solar review through the Ministry for Regulation, which is something I've been involved heavily in, and I'm very, very happy that that stuff has gone through. So again, interesting day on social media of talking with Te Pāti Māori and then talking about the ACT Party. So that was interesting. And that resulted, the David Seymour announcement in particular resulted in probably, I would say, at least half a dozen media interviews about that particular aspect of it, which is including plug-in solar, which I'm very excited about getting legalised. And then yesterday, final thing for me was presenting to the Transpower Climate Week on everything that Transpower can do as part of this energy transition as well, which was really cool. So that was on everything for me.
Sorry, can I just, sorry, Sarah.
I'm exhausted by listening to him on a quiet one. That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, I just had to add to mine. Oh, Cromwell. I went to their meeting and they were excited about the connection with here.
Yeah.
So since it's been opening, there's been a lot more foot traffic through. So
Yeah, that's good, 'cause that was something that
a really good sense of, I think it's settled. Yeah. But they're still working through their building and the Chinese cottages.
And one other thing I didn't include in the report that I would love noted is I was the first official member of the public on a non-official day to walk through the doors of this complex and buy a coffee.
Well done.
And they hadn't even got the doors working yet, so I literally had to stand there and knock and wait for Jen to come and get me because I knew the cafe had opened. The first one.
I think I got the first spates over the counter.
There you go. Yeah.
I didn't got the first bubbles because they asked. Had to open the bottle.
There's a theme.
There is a thing. Some people are very sensible and have a coffee. Other people have theirs as an espresso martini.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it down.
Very good food group.
Thank you, Sarah.
Well, what to say that hasn't been said? Much like everybody else, all of the official engagements, just do a couple of as above, I think. It's been a real busy month for council conversations. After yesterday's QLDC decision, I think it highlights for me again how lucky we are here that our council is so cohesive on most things. And I know I said to Tammy yesterday that listening to their meeting, it just riles me that just the way the meetings are conducted and the people speak, we've just got such a high level of respect for each other and what we're doing here. I just think the outcomes can't help to be better what we're doing. And
Out of head start.
yeah, we'll just go alone. But regardless of what that process throws at us, it's whether we do to them or they do. It's like a thumb rule with mayors, but who knows where we end up. But I think we're in a really good place that we are truly doing the right thing for the people here, and whatever comes of it, we will try our best. And that's something that has been evident in everything that's happened in the last month. And there's been a lot of work.
I asked, like, how did I won't ask that question. It's irrelevant.
Secrets. Like
No secrets. It was just how people want to obviously more, but that's not.
to not
Okay.
to tell us what to do, not to let us tell them what to do is basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll see what comes. On top of that, we have rates reviews coming up. A good time or a bad time, who knows? But I have just lost the bit of paper. Oh, here we go. There are information sessions coming up that it would be really helpful to have elected members around. So if you guys are here on Thursday, the 20th, between 6 and 7, there is a session at the Presbyterian Church, which is an information session. So that's a presentation from our good lady mayor and some elected members. Dropping myself in here, aren't I? If I just agreed to go. And a drop-in session at the library on Monday, the 24th at 12:30. So I put them in your diaries. And that is about the rates review that is long overdue, and looking at, can we do it better or fairer, or is it an equitable system or not, and explaining how we do it and why we do it, and what the rates are for. So they'll be fairly meaty. It'd be great to have some of us here. And
I'll send it through to you.
It's till 6 o'clock on Thursday the 20th and 12:30 at the library on Monday. The weekend of opening here, much the same to everybody else, I would like to thank the Ratepayers of Central Otago for funding my daughter's 8th birthday party. The magician and the face painting were exceptional. So thank you very much. I actually chose to walk through here for, well, I think we were in for about 4 hours with a whole bunch of 7 and 8 year olds who were everywhere and then some. But funny that a kid turning 8 wanted to come here on a birthday and see what it was all about. So pretty cool, I thought. Went down very well. And then I returned the next morning to be one of the first people in that movie theatre. And unfortunately, they decided Minions was going to be the first movie to be shown. But great 2.5 hours of my life. Seats were comfy. So, they don't sell espresso martinis before lunch. So we could get that liquor licence sorted. It would be helpful. Our council meeting just last week was a busy one. Lots of heavy lifting in all of these meetings, I feel like at the moment. Looping back to the commercial swim schools, we've decided to go ahead and allow that to happen. So we'll see what happens at the pool here. We're busy already, but you never know. We had a paper on the town centre redevelopment for Cromwell, and it was decided, council, that we are first and foremost looking at how we don't increase the rates, not necessarily cut them, but minimise the increases, and whether this is the right time and flavour for doing that. So mindful that I'm sitting on the PSG with Rebecca and Charlie chairing it, and we are driving a project that we see huge benefit to Cromwell, but we are not looking directly to cost the ratepayer the cost of that improvement. So the big thing for the PSG for us is that we are springboarding what we can do for private investment and doing more than we can do for ourselves, not spending ratepayers' money on improving or moving the town centre. But lots of conversation. Paper didn't necessarily quite go how we thought. Would that be? But but they at the top table will tell us what they think of our recommendations, and they did. So interested to hear from the other sides of the district on what we're doing. What else do? Alpha Street, we spent an awful lot of time in our last meeting talking about what we may or may not do with the shelter and the old electrical building. So the electrical building will be decommissioned and used as changing rooms, as we asked, but the shelter is going to be demolished and remediated to flat land within the budget of the Waters team project. So no extra cost. And what else did we do? There's ticket pricing and sales policy for this building, which was just dotting the i's and crossing the t's, I think, really just giving us some powers to set pricing for events. Obviously, we've had the doors open and got people through here, but at lesser than ideal for money making. So now the hard work starts selling tickets at commercial acts and pushing those activities and events to be successful. That got signed off. And an interesting one that came up was the elderly person's housing, whether it needs to be an LTP consultation item. And the gist of the paper is whether or not it's the right thing for us to be the managers of elderly person's housing. We've got some in Cromwell, some around the district, whether we're the right people to be doing that, whether that falls into social housing, whether it needs to fall under healthcare, where that sits. And Janice, that runs that part of our business, does a great job, but she's doing more and more of a social work aspect to that. And I think that highlights more than anything for me is the vulnerability of that part of our community. So we do have a responsibility. What that is, I don't know, and where we sit, but it's something that will come up and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But I think it's something that we be mindful of what we provide for those people, be they few, they're important. And whether we're doing it right or wrong, or whether we need to be doing it or not. Whether we could pass that on to somebody else that could do it better. Yes, would that be fair? Apart from that, came to the football club prize giving in this very room. I was excited. Probably needs to be in the auditorium next time, I reckon. It was big enough, wasn't it? But yeah, every time I come down here, it's common, and the sentiment is the same, whether people have come from out of town or just here. Suddenly the people that complain and have gone quiet, which is awesome, because I think you can see we have done what we wanted to do. This epitomises that vision, and it's cool. Yes, it's expensive, but if you want a nicer house, you get a bigger mortgage, don't you, and live well. We're done pretty good in here, and it's awesome to be here. So yeah, that was my month pretty much.
Can I give them over in a second for? Thank you, Wally.
No, he's on. Yeah, go on.
Thanks. Oh,
We're gonna have to move it.
you missed that one night.
Oh, I was leaning forward, so give it to me.
Next, we move on to the governance report on page 66.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I'm going to sometimes start driving.
Okay, be safe on those roads.
Yeah, for those 3 goats.
What about 3 goats and snow as you get closer to?
Yeah, need them.
So you're going to get started. They've been told not to drive.
It would have
Mayor of
No,
Central Titles. Situation.
Snow tires outside.
Chains, I've got a pair of gloves.
The chains of the leaders.
It's not.
Okay, governance report, have a quick look. Is there anything that piqued your interest?
There's a couple more live updates could have been put on the.
I see July updates. I want approval.
Just a verbal update on the CBG decision.
Yeah.
Hold your horses, I think, is the verbal update.
Thank you. That was a verbal
There
update.
you go, there's your verbal update. Is that a lot? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Waters building, that's got
What-
20th of July update.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Meeting's been since then.
It has, yes. Okay, can I have a mover in a second of the governance, please? Thanks, Mike. Yep, thanks, Rebecca. All in favour?
Right.
Date of the next meeting is the 1st of September. And we need to pass the resolution to exclude the public from the next part of the meeting. Do I have a mover in a second? Thank you, Wally. Thank you, Sarah. All in favour? Please take a moment to have a comfort break and we'll see you back in here. Just as that is closing, we have made the call, sorry, I haven't, that we